it's a question, what happens if the customer is offline, right? So if they don't have an internet connection. Like in my case, I was traveling a lot of and most of the times when I was landing in Romania, I didn't have my prepaid up to date, so I didn't have a connection to the internet, although I was in the need to use the internet at that particular time. So I think the strongest are always the offline ones. Okay, so hardware device like a YubiKey, for example, it's super strong. And then SMS is the least, but it gives you the one way to an easy way to I don't know, to authenticate yourself if you are not connected to the internet, but you have some sort of connection to the GSM, right, network. And what software app push notifications? This gives you a good user experience. So in my opinion, yeah, the strongest one is the hardware device, but this is usually something that it's targeted to the more knowledgeable or technical, right? So no, I mean, I'm a user of YubiKey, but I don't have any friends, or I cannot convince even my colleagues to use a YubiKey, right? Yeah. So, and then the SMS is an open question also to your solution. If what happens if the customer is offline? So I think also a combination could be one option. So if the user is connected, you use one. But if it's offline, the solution should fail over to an SMS one. Yeah, maybe.
I'm lucky now. I get to give a good answer before the more knowledgeable panelist. None of the channels itself is weak. What makes them weak is the vulnerability of the entire ecosystem. So the SMS is weak because the channel itself has proven to be weak. The message itself reaches often the operator, the SMS a portal operator, and then it reaches one of the communications provider, and then perhaps another communications provider in case the message is not sent through the same network. And from my statistics, one SMS sent today in Romania for internet banking connection is accessible to at least 5,000 to 10,000 employees of third parties, because it's clear text and because this is how it works. Then the message itself can be easily intercepted. As you know, there are several attacks which make the channel weak. On the other hand, push notifications are seen to be somewhat strong. They're no more different than SMS because basically it's the same type of authentication sending, but via different transmission interface. Software and push notification methods are probably the strongest if implemented right, if additional controls are in place that make vulnerabilities limited. Using deprecated protocols makes interception possible for both software and push notification apps. And to appeal on the last reply, we have software and hardware devices that can generate time-based OTPs that will also be available offline. So you're not supposed to have internet connection or GSM 3G, 4G signal in order for the mobile app to work. And I believe this is supported also by the platform that you have described earlier. Thank you.
So maybe we should, I want to start with the definition of strongest here. There are two aspects of it. So if we mean the best as in the strongest, there are multiple approaches. The solution we are applying should be flexible enough to apply more than once, because as you have just said, so there are cases where the mobile device is offline or online, and the solution we are applying should accommodate all those scenarios in once. So for me, the strongest in that case is the most applicable in terms of security in the given environment in that case. So yes, if we put aside the user experience in that case for the time being, from our point of view, from the security company point of view, we don't think SMS and push notifications are that different from each other, because they are both using open channels or third-party channels. So push is coming from either from the Google or Apple networks anyway, and SMS is using the telco infrastructure to deliver the message. So from the security perspective, the best is, I still believe, the software app if implemented properly. So there are yes hardware devices to provide one-time passwords, but they also introduce some logistical problems, because you need to deliver these devices to end users, maintain this with the end users. If they have some problems, you should have proper support for those devices in the field. And then it is, yes, we are, and I'm saying this as a hardware provider also, besides our software solutions. So we know the headaches the hardware devices cause. So if we can do the same security, achieve the same security by the means of the software application, I think it is the best way to do that. So coming back to your comment about online and offline, yes, that's the main path for authentication is using a software app which is online. Yes, that's right. But yes, the solution needs also be flexible enough. If the mobile device is not online somehow for some reason, then it should automatically be able to fall back to alternative scenarios such as OTP. So from our point of view, OTP itself is not the best way, actually. So I will put it in another way, because I have mentioned to you that our solution is based on digital signatures instead. So we are not sending a code to the end user to verify some type of authentication process. Instead, we ask the user to accept the transaction or reject the transaction himself, which is also better for better defense for social engineering type of attacks, because most of the social engineering type of attacks occur rely on the fact that if you send an OTP to the end user, which is he needs to re-enter somewhere else, or let them using a software app generate this OTP on device, any case, he needs to enter this information, sees this information as person, and then requested to enter this information somewhere else. And then almost all the social engineering attacks rely on this fact, because they trick the user to share this information intentionally or unintentionally with third party, with the attacker. So they are calling from the call center, kind of, so the imitated call center, let's say, and telling them, now we will cash back you some amount of money. Please tell me the OTP you will be receiving right now. So OTP in general, because of that, is not secure. And instead, what we do is either the end user has to approve himself by tapping the accept button or reject button. He cannot delegate somebody else to do the same on behalf of himself. So this is if we talk about strongest, yes, the strongest is the digital signature, definitely. But for offline scenarios, in Kobil, we automatically fall back to soft OTPs, and our server is able to detect that the mobile device is not online, and there could be some, we can define a timeout for that. If we cannot reach the mobile device on time, within the given period, we automatically fall back to OTP, and then we inform the user that he should generate an OTP on the mobile device and then re-enter it somewhere else, which is not the ideal case, but it solves the problem where the device is offline.
Mr. Cristea, are you good? I'll try to be short. I think the best secured, strongest secure OTP channel is a hardware device channel. Delivery is via hardware device, but we want to get rid of the devices. I can confirm you that we have planned to move to software app, of course being implemented properly, because we have a problem without applying the correct measures there. We try to avoid SMS for OTP sending, for sure. and we'll make next steps to use push notification, not to send the OTPs, just to wake up the software app. So the software app will work offline, and we will use push notification, not sending OTP, verifying OTP codes, just to wake up software app. That's our approach.
Okay, so a lot of technical opinions. I will not go back to that because it's clear hardware is the more secure, but with the less user experience, and it's the same as security. More secure, less user experience. But I think it's thinking a little bit from business perspective and user experience here. Of course, hardware is the best one. But if we decide to apply any of this, maybe it's important to combine with something else, maybe with user profiling. Yeah, and for someone who never went out of Romania, and a transaction is coming from an IP from outside Romania, maybe doesn't matter if it's a software app, SMS, or push notification. Maybe the transaction should be put in a queue and validated via phone or something like this for very high risk. Yeah, that's a small example. Client segmentation in terms of risk and then profiling, and based on that to apply additional controls can be designed based on the client segment of each bank and so on. So yeah, if we go away from hardware device, all the others have certain risks. Maybe we can combine between them, or maybe we can combine with others based on client segmentation and profiling and so on.
It's very nice to speak after Koray and others. So for me, the strongest are software app because it's more flexible. You can adapt to the customer needs, and because I don't like hardware, it can hurt. No? After that, I prefer push notification because sometimes I need an answer from someone to communicate. And if this robot asks me, yes, you agree with this, I like very much to have a dialogue with someone. So, because from a human point of view, I think that software is better for me. Okay, and nothing to add regarding this aspect because Koray cover anything, I think. And I suggest that you to invite him in the next meeting.